All right, just wanted to do a quick video on some TA on my chart, right? Um, so this is what we're looking at right here, right? This is going to be a pivot indicator, kind of like the money profile and the accumulation profile, right? So you can see the money flow profile has the amount, then the volume. The accumulation profile has the given date to where it needs to do its calculation, right? And then I have the pivot profile, right? Amongst other indicators, this is like cycles here and here, right? And then there's a future cast. I adopted into it, and this one is also volatility future cast, seasonality future cast, as well as a lot of other indicators. But the main part that I'm looking at, the part that I like to focus on when I'm long term investing, like how I'm doing right here, right, is certain indicators lining up simultaneously. And the other ones, if they do kick in, then it only boosts it up a notch. But this is what I'm looking at here. Once this blue line crosses above this green line, vice versa, that's for buy, this is for sell. Once you get these green dots here versus these red dots here is buy and sells, right? And you get the cycles if they're up and down, right? You also have this right here. I'm not going to go too deep into most of this stuff. I have it on the past in my videos. So basically, what I'm looking at here is that we did cross above this green line, right? And then this printed a green um, bar area right here, right? As well as this is kind of like going into a bottom. If you use seasonality, in Clover Health, you got what's it, February, March, and April that are pretty much red, right? But if we were to buy in when this indicator went off, being above this green line, then we would have got in right here, right? So let's just keep on adding, right? So we got this indicator going off here. You got a green line here. There was no blue line, right? And then you got a green line here, right? And it was kind of like at the bottom in area, okay? So that's that, right? Or you can go, if you want to be really picky, you can go this way because that's where this one was at, right? You probably buy at the close of the day, so that's where we're going to be worried about where the price is going to be at. And this one had the blue line and a green line, and it had these, um, green indicators that went off right here on the main chart. With this, this is like the biggest one out of all of them so far. So this one has like one confirmation, two confirmations, three confirmations, four, five confirmations. You call this oversold. Six confirmations. That's going down. So boom, right there, right? Um, so let's just start looking for them. I start off with this one, typically. So we go down here. There's a green line there. There's a green line here. It did show blue, but it didn't spike, right? But there was this one here and this one there. So we're going to use that as the base is this green bar here and this green bar there. Anything beyond that, it's going to be multiple different confirmations, right? So we're going to do that there. Since we're using that, we're automatically going to say this one, right? Because it has one here and one on there. And then we're going to say this one here, right? We're not going to say this one because there was none here. That's kind of risky, right? It did cross over, but there was a green line here. So, I mean, we could technically say, yeah, that's a bottom, right? But not the bottom in this cycle, right? Even though it was oversold. So it's kind of like you got to use, your better judgment on this. So there's a green. It popped over the Green line here. There's a green bar there. There's a little green bar here, but there was none there. You could say, look, it's oversold, right? So you got that deep red in there. So yeah, that's a good time. A little bit over, right? And then you can do vice versa for cells, right? Um, so you got all of this red coming up. You got these reds here. This orange line did cross beneath the red line, and then there was one red line here with this a zone here, overbought here, right? So you could have said with a red arrow, right? So like that was wow. I don't know how many indicators was that. It was a lot, right? So that one there, and then we come over here. It did not pass. It showed a green line. There was really nothing there. It did. It was oversold here and here on both time frames. Wow, that's pretty impressive, right? But you got a buy signal here, here, and here on the main graph. There's one there. This one's gray, so it kind of doesn't really know yes or no. This one is green there, so you kind of like never buy in it all at one time, and keep your stop loss where it's supposed to be at. So you could have said here, here, and then possibly if you really guy, you're kind of risky right there, right? I probably would have never done that. But nevertheless, the idea is that when you get multiple indicators lining up together, right, your odds are going to be higher than most retail traders, or even on par with someone like a hedge fund or an institute, right? Then you added in this zone right here, which has been pretty much buys. This one's been more negative than positive, right? You got to look at where the money's at, where the accumulation is at, where the trend is at. This divergence here on an oscillator, right? You add in all of that stuff, and then eventually you come across a conclusion, right? You got to do your own due diligence on this kind of stuff, right? I don't have these lines showing up, past tense, nor this one, but for the most part, it's probably going to sync up if I were to display it, right? Um, yeah, so it's a pretty good system. It's definitely good for accumulating for long term positions, right? And swing trading, um, risk versus reward. Your win to loss ratio, um, you know, works out.